Just wonder if we start with Ruth, because you would have seen her unravelling during the time that Ofsted were inspecting her school and the emotional toll that it took. What was she going through?
She felt responsible for what had happened to her school. She felt a sense of intense shame. She was absolutely terrified that she might lose her job. She was terrified that she couldn't show her face in the local community. And she felt completely trapped. She knew, her staff knew, her governors knew, the local authority knew that that judgment was unfair, was disproportionate, but there was no way, there still is no way for her to challenge that. And this is really what I'm worried about with the new system that's being proposed, that those life-threatening risks identified in the inquest into my sister's death are still very, very much present.
Because the new ranking, you think, is too similar to the previous system?
Yes, the new ranking is pretty much the same, isn't it? Let's get a thesaurus out and change the words, stick back in the satisfactory judgment, but call it expected standard. And to add insult to injury, put colour coding in it, which draws attention to any perceived failings. There's also, and this is for Bridget Phillipson to address rather than Ofsted strictly, there are also very much high stakes consequences of a poor judgment. Head teachers will still fear that they might lose their job, and they have no redress.
Do you still need to have some level of ranking in order for people to know the good practices and the less good practices, and schools to improve their standards over time?
The parliamentary inquiry into Ofsted's work with schools, a very rigorous cross-party inquiry into Ofsted's work with schools, recommended that the government investigate, look into other school accountability systems in high-performing countries that do not put the kind of level of absolutely intolerable pressure, literally intolerable pressure on school leaders and teachers. And Ofsted and the government have chosen to ignore that advice and to plough ahead with what is really just cosmetic changes to the existing system that has been proven to pose a threat to life. They have not taken the warnings of the coroner at my sister's inquest seriously. They have not listened to Parliament. They have not listened to the vast majority of the teaching profession, and they have certainly not listened to me and my family. So whether there's a need for rankings, I don't believe there is a need for rankings. Of course, there is a need for parents to have a reliable sense of what their local school is like. I have never argued, no sensible person would argue against accountability, and inspection can play a role in that. But it has to be an accountability system that does not put the well-being and potentially lives of hardworking teachers and school leaders at risk. That is not in the interests of children and their parents.